Alrighty. If y'all hear random thumping, I can't tell if my like upstairs neighbor is getting laid right now. Because it sounds like the noise like when a plastic like empty tube like hits something. They could be into weird things. I personally don't know. But I don't hear like a pace changing. Rhythm's not there. It feels like I'm like in the play like the Telltale Heart, because it's just a constant like annoying like and then also apologies if I sound stuffed up. I have a cold. Hey friends, it's Teresa and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be me discussing the books I read in the month of December, and unfortunately, preface to this, there's only 4 books and none of them were standouts. So it was a great way to end 2021. But if you guys like this kind of content from me, hit like, subscribe, and comment, and let me know what other video you guys would like to see from me in the future. TB, if you are watching this video, I am well aware of what video you want me to do. It's a work in progress. Work in progress. But let's just kind of get into it. Let's start off with the e-arc I released. I received this Penguin Teen, which thank you very much for you guys for letting me giving me this arc. And that is Echoes and Empires by Morgan Rhodes. This is a YA, I guess, futuristic fantasy almost, or almost, I can't even call it a modern, like a high fantasy set in a more modern setting. Follows young Jocelyn, who is kind of like almost at the top, as she finds out that the world is not as black and white as she seems. There are the magic wielders who are considered typically bad people than the normal people. Trigger warning for this: there's a lot of death, assassination, lots of discrimination, murder. I'll leave my review link down below, and that should have the trigger warnings. If I don't have them on there, I'll update it before this video goes up, but those are the ones that I can remember off the top of my head. I ended up giving this a 1 star. I was super intrigued by this. Oh my goodness! I was super intrigued by this. Like the cover looked really interesting. The title sounds super cool, so I was like, let's just give it a shot. Why not? The biggest problem that I had with this book was that while the idea is there, the execution is great. It seems like a good plot to follow, and it's not very hard. It's not like it's very new to us. We have followed similar plots like this before in the past. The execution was not there. Primarily, the romance was very lacking. I felt like there was no chemistry between the 2 main characters. They didn't really seem to pop out at me. They didn't seem to come to life in the sense that I wanted them to, which I really needed them to, considering this entire story hinged on them. And then the main character was just unlikable to the max. And when I mean unlikable, it wasn't as if that we saw her grow and that there's a redeeming quality about her that we want to see her flourish and like kind of nurture. As the book went on, she just came off as spoiled, entitled. She had an air of entitlement to her that she never seemed to outgrow, and she was just very closed-minded. And now I don't mind a closed-minded character learning more and becoming more open-minded as the time goes on, but unfortunately her closed-mindedness was just a little too much for me. She left very little room for her to question her own beliefs and ethics that she had grown up with, and it wasn't until she met someone in the prison, and spoiler, she goes to prison, not gonna tell you guys where, that she met someone that was like super nice and didn't have a mean bone in her body, and that was the way that she figured out that, like, you know, people who wield magic aren't mean and evil. There's like more to this scheme than I know. And it just made no sense for her to be that close-minded and then come to this sudden like a conclusion that they are suddenly not evil people. I feel like that Morgan Rhodes has a lot to go and grow from as an author, and I'm sure she will get there, but I feel like with this book specifically, it could have and would have been more of a successful character and character growth than just the first book alone, because I believe this is a series. Had this book had received more drafts, more editing, just a bit more polishing and maybe a couple more beta readers to really let Jocelyn's character grow, and we get to see that like acceptance that we need to see for her to feel like more like a fledged out character with flaws that make sense. Moving on to the next disappointment of the month. Again, this was not a stay-night reading month for me, and that is Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. I did a full-length like rereading vlog of this, so I will leave that link down below for y'all. But this was a popular YA high fantasy based off of African fantasy. I think this is one of the first ones to come out in YA that's based in African fantasy, and it follows young Zele, who saw the loss of magic when she was a young child, and now that she's a teenager, she has the ability to bring magic back for good, or if she fails in her mission, to lose magic forever. When I read this the first time, I gave it a 5, and I cannot for the life of me know why I did that. I think I did just kind of fall into the hype. I ended up giving this and my reread a 2 out of 5 stars. I will be unhauling this book. I think the idea behind it is really there. It's a very familiar plot. It's basically like almost a copy-paste of Avatar: The Last Airbender, at least like the first season. We have some familiar archetypes that we do have, that we are aware of from the Avatar: The Last Airbender series, and a lot of like the tribal work and like how things are separated also mimic that. So it's not as if it's an unfamiliar story. However, I feel like the execution was not there. I think, again, this suffers from publishing wanting to push out more books and more series similar to this. So in return, authors don't get as much drafting as they should. They don't get to hone in on everything. I felt like the plot was too familiar and there were no exciting moments for me because I'm fairly familiar with the Avatar: The Last Airbender. The romances were just not there. They lacked chemistry, they lacked reason, they lacked basically everything that makes a forbidden romance or even just a normal romance seem okay. The characters, again, I could not get attached to any of them. The main characters specifically, while they were unlikable and understandably so, there were no aspects of the story or their stories that particularly pulled me to them, and I felt like I was kind of just dragging my feet along to really read the book and get through it. The main romance, we all know it's supposed to be a Zutara situation, made no sense. They hated each other, and then all of a sudden they suddenly started liking each other for no reason other than like he saved her, or yeah, he saved her, and it's just not there. I think it had a lot of potential, and I think it still does have a lot of potential, but I think, again, it suffers just from the publishing industry wanting to push out books more so for quantity over quality, and I think these are one of the books that definitely took a hit. Moving on to the next book is a book that I actually kind of did enjoy. It was just a little bit of a lighthearted read, and I really enjoyed it. It was like very like Netflixy rom-com, and that is The Holiday Swap by Maggie Knox. This is an adult romance following these two twins, Charlie, who is an LA chef, and Cassandra, who is at home back in their small town in California running their family bakery. One day, Charlie gets injured on set and loses her ability to smell and taste, which is like an effect of concussions, and she asks Cassie to do the thing that they haven't done in years, which is switch their personalities for at least a week while her head heals. It's very Netflixy, it's very rom-com, very cute. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. I am a sucker for Christmassy rom-coms. Like, I could live off of... I am the daughter of a man who watches Hallmark Christmas movies all year round because Hallmark likes to put out Christmas in July, Christmas in the fall, blah blah blah. So you know where I'm going with this. Like, my dad's favorite Christmas movies are Princess Switch and A Night Before Christmas. So we all know where I am coming from. I thought this was a really fun and easy read. It was definitely, like I said, very Netflix rom-com. It's not a very difficult read to get through. The one thing that I did have was that I feel like I wanted to see the sisters butt heads a little bit more. I feel like each of the sisters kind of figured out their issue because the other one fixed it for them, and they never really learned anything outside of it, which is fine. It's not like a top tier, like, you know, romance that I enjoy. It was just a fun romance, and I will be picking up more from Maggie Knox when she puts out more romances because this was such a cute and fun read. And it was exactly what I needed for the holidays. Like, I think it even matches my sweater. Recommend The Holiday Swap if you're in for a good Christmassy book next year. Or if you're still in the Christmas spirit. Like, I mean, it's only January. I'm Filipino. We celebrate, technically, if I was doing it the Filipino way, I'd be doing it from the Burr months to, like, the end of January. So, like, y'all can ride the Filipino trade with me. You have a couple more weeks until January ends. Pick up a Christmas book. And finally, the last book before my voice gives out is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. This is a classic novel. I believe this is like a children's, no, not children's book, like I'd say like an adult classic book following these 4 sisters from like when they were little itty bitties to like when they're adults, which are, as you guys know, is Meg, Jo, Beth, and Amy. I ended up giving this a 4 out of 5 stars. I don't think I'm quite on the train as everyone else who absolutely adores Little Women. I thought that the storyline was really good, the characters were super fleshed out, and I had a lot of fun reading this book and just seeing like the antics they get up to. And like, you guys know me, I love a good historical fiction. I love historical novels, like they're good times for me, so I wasn't bored with this book. I think my biggest issue and what ultimately dinged it from the 5 that I wanted it to be to the 4 that I actually gave it is that I just couldn't get attached to any of the sisters. Like, I went in with it kind of like having like the 2019 movie in the back of my head, but I couldn't get attached to any of them. I feel like it switched between perspectives for too long, and the spans for like the time period between each like situation was also kind of like large, that I couldn't find a sister that I resonated with, or that really like I can't really resonate with them because like they're white girls in Civil War America. I am neither white, nor would I have survived in Civil War America had I gone back that far. But there wasn't just like one of their personalities or characters that really just kind of like struck a chord with me or really resonated with me, which is fine. But like, because of that, I feel like I couldn't get attached to them, and it was just kind of like not a boring read, but it was a very difficult read because it's a very character heavy book. I still really enjoyed it, and I think I'll be watching the movie because I think the movie's perception ruined kind of like the book for me. But I need to watch the movie so I can officially say that I have jumped on the Little Women train. I really did enjoy it though, so I recommend it. It's an easy and accessible classic, which is very rare for a lot of classics, so recommend it. But that is it for the books that I read in December. I am trying to manifest that the books that I have left on my TBR, which is now risen to 35 books, plus the books that are coming out in 2022, will be good books. Because I feel like everyone on BookTube, on Book Twitter, has just had like a very mad reading year, and we need to change it. We gotta get some 4s and 5s in there, so manifesting it now. But if you guys enjoyed this video and want me to do more of them, I do a wrap up once a month, so like you kind of have to be subscribed to know when these come out. But if you guys want me to do more reviewed books, I do have more like individual reviews planned in the future. Let me know in the comments below if you guys have read any of these books and have enjoyed them, didn't like them, let me know. But until next time, I will talk to you guys in my next video, and hopefully you guys are having a wonderful week. And if not, hopefully the rest of the week is better for you. I think this comes out on Friday, so hopefully your weekend is good. Bye!